Hello and welcome to Freedom Through Astrology, where we're giving you the keys. My apologies for this being late. I lost my voice several times, and there have been problems, computer problems, especially ones involving cats. So we're doing our best to keep them under control. Yeah, hurting cats. Okay. It's freedomthroughastrology.com. I'm your astrologer. My name is Donald Patak. There's my contact information, standard YouTube copyright, and no, my videos may not be used to train AI LLMs unless I am appropriately compensated. That means more than the CEO's salary, benefits, and severance package. Keys to the reading, because I do read astrology a little differently. I read constellation-based astrology, sometimes called true sidereal. It's astrology by the visible sky, also astrology by astronomy. In ancient times, astrologers were astronomers. Around 200 AD-ish, they fixed the signs to seasons. What in the world? No, never mind. They fixed the signs to seasons. Well, the planets move and the constellations also move. So I read the planets where they are in the actual sky as opposed to where they were back in ancient Rome. In using that, there are 13 signs in the zodiac belt. Between Scorpio and Sagittarius, there is a sign called a fucus. The symbol is of a person holding a snake by the head and tail. In ancient times, a snake symbolized knowledge. So when you hold it by the head and the tail, it's control of knowledge. Ideally, you're gaining this knowledge to learn how to heal yourself so you can heal others with similar wounds. And also in that vein, I use the visible sky. I use the natural size of the constellations because Virgo, in all her glory, is just under 50 degrees. But Libra, Scorpio, Fucus, individually, each one is less than 25 degrees. The constellations, when Mother Nature, when they were created, they're all different sizes. I respect that. And I use the astrological midpoints as opposed to the IAU boundaries. Athan Shimenti noted in his work that when he got very into the boundaries and the IAU boundaries, he noticed that the IAU boundaries put stars from Scorpio into a fucus. Really, the stars from Scorpio belonged in Scorpio. So he looked at the zodiac belt, last bright star of Scorpio, first bright star of Fucus. What's the halfway point? And he drew his own boundaries. I've been following that there. I think it's a little bit more accurate. Keys to the reading, part 2. I interpret using evolutionary astrology, which says that the planets and signs have lessons to teach you. So these are lessons to learn, and you have freedom of choice. Yes, you're fated to face these transits. How you will face them and what you're going to do is up to you. So I do recognize that. I will teach you what I believe is the ideal and then what missing the mark would look like, so to speak. This is the weekly edition, so these are the universal lessons for all our fellow Earth travelers, so do have some compassion on them. Dates and times are based on the Eastern U.S. time zone. I do live outside of Buffalo, New York. I'm operating within 1 degree of exact. It makes it more manageable for me because if I'm confused, you're lost. And the software I use for my calculations is Capricorn by Prometheus. These are the weekly transits for the week of January 5th through 11th, 2026. How are we already in 2026? Where did the time go? The sun is still in Sagittarius. The moon, it goes from Cancer into Virgo, but it switches from Cancer into Leo on Monday morning. So it's really more of a Leo Virgo transit. So the moon is actually very steady this week, which is going to be nice because of the way everything else in the week is going to be. We do have the last quarter moon in Virgo on January 10th at 12:38. Actually, that's in the afternoon. I don't know why I put AM. It's really PM because it's afternoon. So it's 12:38 p.m. Eastern time. Might as well fix it. I don't know why I'm didn't change that when I was making my notes. Active planets of the weeks will be the Sun, Venus, and Mars. These will be the primary ones. It's an inner planet week doing all the crazy stuff that they do. But the Sun, Venus, and Mars will be primary. Mercury will also make a showing. I have Jupiter and Chiron here with an asterisk because they're going to be aspected. So they're going to be influential and because they're the ones being transited. And then we do have Saturn showing up to make a long transit. And our retrograde parade is actually very short right now. It's just Jupiter and Uranus. So here we go with our star map for the week, so to speak. And you can see we do have that long transit of the sun. This dotted line is the old transits. Let me start with the way I always do. We do have the moon, like I said. Actually, it's Monday evening. I don't know why. Monday afternoon-ish. So we do have, the moon very steady this week. And as you can see with all these other transits, the moon is going to be our point of stability. So learning how to express yourself and then how you can improve. Going to be very important to learn. This dotted line will show us what's hanging over from last week, and that's the Sun-Venus conjunction. And really, it's Venus passing by the sun. So she's moving from being the morning star to the evening star here. And then as we look at all these other transits that we're looking at, aside from Saturn sextiling Uranus, which is going to start on the 9th and just travel through the end of the month, you can see we have 2, 3, 4 transits involving the sun. These are lessons for your core identity. Now, Venus is right there. 2, 3, Venus, your ability to work with others in relationships. What are you learning from your relationships? Also, Venus governs creativity. I was talking with someone that's like, I'm not getting a lot of relationships. I said, well, what are you doing with like arts and music? And that really spoke to them. So we do need to remember that some of these planets cover more than one lesson. So Venus is definitely relationships. It's also the arts and creativity and things of that nature. So I did say Mars is going to be important, and Mars, I'm going to clean this up so it's not so polluted for you. We do see these Mars in these 2 conjunctions, plus this opposition where it opposes Jupiter. So again, Mars is going to be influential in that respect with this mega conjunction of the sun and Venus. I don't think I've ever read a conjunction like that in the time I've been doing astrology. And then finally, we do have Mercury with the nodes of the moon. Always an interesting read. And then as you can see, I think the intensity does start today, which is the 5th. It does start here. But then it really picks up Thursday on with that lunar transit into Virgo. And then you have the Mercury with the nodes. And then it just, hold on a second, make sure I'm reading this right. Yeah, that's Mercury in the nodes. And then we just get this 3 oppositions. Saturn shows up, and then those 2 squares and a partridge in a pear tree. So pardon my little bit of humor, but there you can see, it really snowballs on Thursday. Okay, can you please stay put and not walk across the computer keyboard? Last time you did that, it made a mess. This is your kitten commercial. This is Miss Smokey. I have 3 gray cats. I have Shadow, Ghost, and Smokey. And Smokey is a long hair, and it's like that really soft long hair. So this is your kitten commercial. No mooning. When I'm talking about the moon, that's not the type of moon I'm talking about. My apologies. All right. So from last week, we do begin with Venus conjunct the sun. They were finishing up at transit to the nodes of the moon, but I'm going to focus on Venus and the sun. And Venus is passing the sun here in Sagittarius. So, Venus, relationships, creativity. What is this teaching you about yourself? And helping you to learn to have faith and trust in yourself enough to step out and take risks. I'm going to kind of do this a Reader's Digest version because my voice isn't. So the ideal is you're learning from others about yourself and other people are helping you to learn how to take risks, or you're learning how to take risks in your creativity, whether this is the arts or music or theater, etc. The shadow here is being slick and Venus, slick and manipulative, lazy, and the sun is egotistical. So this is you thinking you can control and manipulate people. And it's in Sagittarius. This is a crisis of confidence, foolish overreaching, and big mistakes being made. And you could actually wind up losing friends over this whole thing. So there's that. Okay. The moon entered Cancer on Sunday. So this is a time of self-care. I should have done that better. Maybe my voice wouldn't be so hoarse. We had a snowstorm and I had to go out and shovel, several snowstorms. I had to shovel my driveway several times. It was so cold I couldn't get my snow thrower to start. But this is emotional self-care, learning to take care of yourself, learning to nurture yourself. And also heal and release wounds of the past. So this is a time of self-care so you can release wounds. The shadow here is being whiny and defensive, feeling sorry for yourself, or like a crab pulling into a shell and trying to hide away or being defensive and snippy. And on Monday, T is hopefully going to help here. Oh, it does. Sun is conjunct Mars, and the sun is going to bypass Mars here. So if you're into astronomy, you can see Mars at night, and now you'll be able to see Mars, I think, in the morning. Yeah. Yeah, you will. Brain. Just an aside. So Venus, the sun on Mars, the focus here, the spotlight, you are learning to have courage and take risks. So the sun conjunct Mars in Sagittarius is focusing on developing an accurate self-image and being willing enough, knowing who you really are so that you can take the appropriate and necessary risks. There are necessary risks and unnecessary risks. The unnecessary risks are the shadow. So we want to avoid that. But this is developing self-confidence, especially in who you are and stepping out in that. The shadow here is that being this shadow of the sun is you not being who you really are, whether that's egotistical person burning bright or that dark star not wanting to be seen. And conjunct Mars, the shadow of Mars is fear, and this can come across as anger or cowardice. And those two things fusing together in Sagittarius creates a crisis of confidence, and this is a major crisis of confidence. And this is where you make a lot of bad choices. Bad choices lead to big mistakes and major problems. And then we have the moon entering Leo. Excuse me. And emotionally, you're ready to stand up and be seen. That's part 2 of this. It's interesting how this all ties together. So we have the moon entering Leo, where you're learning to stand up, be seen, and express yourself, and accepting opportunities for attention and accept any appreciation that may be offered. The shadow here is that egotistical person who wants to everybody look at me. I'm just going to enter the room so I can receive applause. But it's pointless drama and playing to the crowd and presenting a false image of yourself. So it can be that person that's always demanding attention, or that person who doesn't want to be seen. So do be careful of that. And then later in the day, we have Venus conjunct Mars. So Venus will be passing Mars. What in Venus? Relationships, creativity, teaching you how to have courage. So are other people helping you to learn to stand up for yourself? Are you learning to have courage in your creative abilities and to step out in them in faith and confidence? The shadow here, slick, manipulative, plus fear. Can I try to control people to do things for me or do things my way? And in Sagittarius, that's a crisis of confidence. And whether that's over or under confidence, fuels bad decisions and poor decision making skills and big mistakes. And at the end of the day, you can look foolish. And so, what we have here, we have a super conjunction. I'm going to call it that for lack of anything else, of Venus, Sun, and Mars. So how are other people teaching you about yourself, and how are you learning to have, and how are they all this working together help you develop courage in who you really are, and learning to stand up, take risks, and have confidence? Because the shadow here is people pulling you as you being pulled into who you are not, falling into fear and making bad choices in a big mess. Tuesday, take a break, take a breath. Remember to exhale. Repeat. Wednesday, we have Mercury in the nodes of the moon. So Mercury is learning and communication in Sagittarius, learning to have faith and trust in your abilities to learn and communicate. And again, willing to take risks. Say, hey, standing up and speaking up for yourself. Always a good thing to learn how to do. Or speaking up about what you know. And it's trining this, it begins this with a trine to the south node. Trine is a support, and the south node in Leo is helping you to become aware of how you hold yourself down and back with pointless drama. So as you're standing up and learning how to take risks, you becoming aware, hey, wait a minute, in the past, this is the way I've held myself down and back. So I'm going to actually, since I'm aware of that, I can avoid it. Okay. The shadow here is Venus, or not Venus, I'm sorry, Mercury, that know it all or can't learn it all, over talking or not sharing what it knows, not communicating at all. And that trine is a slippery slope. What are you falling back into? Bad habits of the past. And that's all making, and what will that fuel? Poor decision making and foolish mistakes. Again, it fuels a crisis of confidence. Okay, hold on. Let me move the chair back a little bit so you're not pushed into the table so much. It's okay. Here, let me wrap you in my shirt so you're a little bit warmer. There you go. So that's that. And on Thursday, we have the moon entering Virgo, our other lunar transit of the week here, sort of ish. And again, emotionally, you're up for improvement. You're aware I need to become more skilled. So this is your opportunity for expanding your mind. Hold on a second. Desire to improve your skill and being aware of new responsibilities and being open to teachers who can help you develop your abilities to meet these responsibilities. It's okay. Get yourself cozy. I don't want you walking on my computer keyboard. Yes, I know the computer's warm, but no, you can't sit on it. Okay. How about you just sit there? Cats. I don't have children. I have kittens. The shadow here is slipping into worry, being too hard on yourself, setting unrealistic expectations. And that just fuels more problems, more worry, more dissipation, more wasting of time. And anytime we have Mercury's aspecting one node, it's always going to show up for the other. So the kind of opposite of a trine is a sextile. So Mercury in Sagittarius is sextiling the North Node in Aquarius. So as you're gaining confidence in your ability to learn and communicate, you're willing to stand up and take risks. This is creating an interest in your North Node, destiny and purpose. Key thing is knowing where the North Node is in your natal chart, because that's your ultimate destiny and purpose. And as it transits the chart, these are the lessons to learn to help you fulfill it. So in Aquarius, as you're learning to stand up and you're gaining this confidence, what you're learning is how to make your destiny and your purpose in life authentic to yourself and who you really are. And so that's what you would be learning here. And the shadow here, Mercury gets rigid, defensive, making foolish and irresponsible decisions. That's the shadow of Sagittarius. And what does this fuel? You're selling out your purpose to meet the expectations of others. Now, this can be trying to fit in, this is trying to fit into a crowd, and whether that crowd is the normal expectations of whatever this destiny is, or it's that group of people who stick out like a sore thumb just to get a reaction. Think of that person who gets a mohawk and everybody's like, he's got a mohawk, big deal. So the person comes in the next day and the mohawk is alternating neon color, neon green and pink spikes. There's a person trying to do something to get a reaction. So you're selling out your destiny, you're trying to fit in with some crowd, and it's not authentic to you because you're selling out to the expectation of others. And this really undermines your purpose and does not help you meet it. So ideally, as you're gaining confidence in and learning to have confidence in your ability to learn and communicate, you're aware of how you hold yourself back so that you can move towards becoming more authentic in your destiny and purpose. And the shadow is that crisis of confidence, being stuck, mentally stuck or verbally stuck, fueling the problems of the past and selling out your destiny to fit in somehow, somewhere. And we have Venus in Sag. We're going to have a whole bunch of planets here opposite. That mega conjunction are all going to be opposite Jupiter in Gemini. And it starts with Venus. So Venus in Sagittarius, developing confidence in your relationships or in your creative ability and willing to take risks. Think of Pablo Picasso with all the different styles that he painted in over throughout his career. Look at like how music groups develop. I remember when Queensryche first came out and the way they sounded, and then when they decided to call it quits, so to speak, and the totally different sound. I mean, they really changed and grew. Really interesting. So, but nonetheless, this is willing to take risk, and in opposition is a time of reflection. So as you're learning about relationships and your creativity, reflect. Are you taking the opportunity to learn? Are you taking that opportunity to pay attention, listening to others, ask questions? Let's see, what else do I have here? And how can this paying attention, if you're paying attention, how is this helping you to learn? I like to liken Gemini is the library. Or going to school. So Gemini is here to gain information, and Sagittarius is here to take that information out into the real world. So reflect. Are you taking the opportunities to take what you're learning in some sort of educational environment, whether it's podcasts or you're taking something on like a self-help or something like that? And are you taking that out into the real world and using it? So first we're talking about that with Gemini. The shadow here is that slick and manipulative, lazy, vain person who's full of themselves. They've got this, their crisis of confidence, can be overconfident or other confident. And they're getting into the shadow of a balance is a power struggle. And that's overconfident in what they know and what they think. I know this, you can't tell this to me. You're making a mistake. Don't tell me I'm making a mistake. And that can fuel a crisis of confidence and big mistakes. So you don't know what you think you know about relationships or creativity, and it fuels a big mess. Jupiter rules Sagittarius. So this is really the issue of developing confidence is going to be important Thursday, Friday, Saturday-ish. Into Sunday, yeah. Friday, we got the sun in Sagittarius. Learning your core identity and learning to take risks with who you are and developing the confidence in yourself to take those risks and get up and explore. Reflect. Are you paying attention to what you're learning and what people are sharing with you and develop and what and I want to say skills, but more, I think Gemini is more information. Are you using the information that you know and that you've picked up and the ideas that have been shared with you? And are you learning? And are they having? And are you learning to be open-minded and having faith and trust in your ability to be open-minded? And how is this fueling your development of your highest potentials? The shadow here, the sun is egotistical. Don't have to say anything more about that. And it can be egotistical, burning too bright, or egotistical, not wanting to be seen at all. Both of them are ego issues. And I'm that one of the few people I'm aware of that say you came to this planet to learn how to have a healthy ego. So that crisis of confidence in your ego, whether it's burning too bright or not bright enough, and that is creating a power struggle with this information you're being shared and what you're learning about yourself. Oh, people like to tell me I'm that, but I'm not really that. That's not who I am. And you get into this power struggle because they're probably right. If I ever want to know something about myself, I know who to ask. They'll tell me in spades. But the shadow here is that crisis in confidence and knowledge. It's like, I know who I'm really supposed to be, but I don't want to be that person. I got to be somebody else. And those foolish mistakes and the messes that it makes. And it can leave you, all these oppositions can leave you feeling out of balance and in a pointless, empty, meaningless struggle. Also on Friday, we have Mars in Sagittarius. You have the courage to go out and take risks. And reflect. Do you have the knowledge that you need? What other knowledge do you need would help you make better decisions? Are you paying attention to what's being shared with you? So, and the shadow here is falling into fear, whether it's anger or cowardice, and the crisis in confidence, overconfident or underconfident, and it can work out those permutations. I mean, it's a crisis in confidence that fuels foolish mistakes, foolish errors based on misinformation. And again, that tug of war, you're not paying attention, you're not taking the opportunity to learn, and it's making a big mistake. And that big tug of war. So your core identity is learning to have confidence, and it's working with other people to learn how to, to build that self-confidence. And you're reflecting, are you paying attention? Are you taking the opportunity to learn, opportunity to listen, opportunity to ask questions so that you're taking necessary risks and make better decisions? The shadow, being egotistical, vain, slick and manipulative, falling into fear and trying to control situation, and getting into this power struggle over information that you don't have or you're not paying attention to. And how is that pulling you out of balance? Or maybe people told you stuff and you're like, oh no, you're wrong, and that's fueling things. It's just going to make a big mess fast. And yes, Jupiter will make sure that happens. And we have our long transit of outer planets. Saturn in Pisces is in a sextile, and it's time of excitement or interest to Uranus in Taurus. And Uranus is still retrograde. So this is a time of inner work. So Saturn in Pisces, simply put, spiritual maturity, learning to be present, learning to practice those skills of being present and in the moment and aware, and being able to see things from a higher perspective. And how's that helping you create an interest in you being at peace with your authentic self and who you really are at heart? I think Uranus for me is about individuality and you learning to be true to who you really are. The shadow here is falling into idle fantasy and fears that fuel despair and control issues. That falls into a nervous energy, and that turns into you not being who you really are, trying to put up a different front, a different face. Um, Loss of individuality, selling yourself out to the rigid expectations of others. I got to meet this. In order to be this person, I got to be this way. There's no other way to be whatever. So I have to do that. Um, and the ability to express your true self can be completely lost. So Saturn in Pisces, the spiritual growth. How is spiritual growth fueling your authentic self and helping you to be at peace with who you are? Falling into fear and illusion, and that fuels you not being who you are. Saturday, we have the last quarter moon in Virgo, and this is going to create a very interesting situation. You can see it because the moon will be squaring the sun, also Mars, also Venus, and for a moment, it will also be in a square to Jupiter, making a T square. So this can be very intense. It cut off the time. I believe that's 12:38. How did that? Yes, 12:38 in the afternoon. So this is a square. Squares are designed to strengthen. These are challenges that are designed to strengthen you. You're never going to build muscle if you're just picking up 2.5. You're doing your workout and only picking up 2.5 pounds. You'll be toned, but never building any muscle. For you to build muscle, you have to go to 5 pounds, 7.5. So these are challenges that are designed to strengthen you. So the moon, wanting to be emotionally, you're ready to improve, is strengthening your core identity and you're willing to take risks, is also strengthening your ability to work with others, and is also, as you become more skilled, you gain confidence. And the other side of the coin, remember, they're reflecting on opportunity. As the moon is in Virgo and it's, learning this, it's strengthening your ability as look at see how is this desire to improve, strengthening your ability and take the opportunity to pay attention and learn. So if this all works out properly, you strengthen your emotional reserve and you can emotionally, it provides, I'm going to say, provides encouragement for you to grow and develop. The shadow here, when this gets out of balance, your emotional self gets crushed badly. So the moon can be emotional, irrational, illogical, highly illogical, and it fuels the false ego, whether that's over the top or trying to hide away. And that leads to unrealistic expectations that fuel poor decisions, and it just makes a big mess fast. But this crushing burden here, and you trying to be slick and manipulative, falling into fear, and that fuels a problem with your ability to learn and communicate and creates a crisis of confidence in there. And all that gets out of balance and crushes your desire to improve. And that just is just a stress fest, is what it's going to create. And after that's all done, we're going to have Venus squaring Chiron. So hold on a second. Venus in Sagittarius is, Venus is that relationships and creativity and willing to take risks in them. Square is strengthening. Chiron in Pisces, being able to heal and release wounds, seeing them from a higher perspective. So as you're building your relationships, you're developing your creativity, it's strengthening your ability to heal yourself and understand, the healing power of art and music is incredibly powerful here. And so, yeah, and that can help you understand your wounds from a higher perspective. This is your ability to relate to other people and how that's been hurt. And it's like, oh man, now I get it. Duh. And it heals, and you can actually build, that can actually strengthen your relationships. The shadow here, being slick, manipulative, and over or underconfident. And yes, I work with students. Some of the most underconfident kids I have are also some of the most manipulative. I can't do that. Could you help me? You know how to do basic math. Trust me. 2 plus 2 is what? Been there, done that, got photos. So here, being shallow and superficial comes across as insensitive, irresponsible, creates a crushing burden that creates deeper wounds. So when you're trying to manipulate and control people, you're actually wounding the relationship and potentially ruining it. And on Sunday, the sun, your core identity, as you learn to take risks, again, healing and releasing wounds. And this is strength, and this is a challenge that strengthens you. So this is healing. This is ideally helping to heal your core identity. So, hey, I took that simple risk, and wow, look at what happened. What was I really afraid of? And that helps you to stand up, move on, and move out. And this helps, and by doing that, it helps you to heal your self-image and helps you to develop a healthy self-image. The shadow here is that false ego, over or underconfident. The square becomes a crushing burden or a stumbling block that leads to deeper wounding and a desire to escape or numb the pain. Should have said that for Venus too. But that leads to a desire to escape or numb the pain. Excuse me. And this just leads to deeper, again, it just fuels, it's a cycle that fuels deeper wounding and deeper problems. And at the end of it, you can try to create yourself as a self-styled martyr, and it just doesn't work out. You're painting a false picture of yourself. Anything else here? Nope, that's it. So there it is. I apologize for this being late. It's just last week was all the snowstorms and everything I had to take care of. More work. So, but do follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. YouTube is where you find the videos. Facebook and Instagram and on the Digital Soul Space is where I post what I call daily deep dives, where I take these transits and explore them a little bit deeper. These guys, these three corporations here are making billions of dollars off your data. Digital Soul Space is hosted on the Mighty Networks, which allows you to control how your data is used. So I call it the spiritual safe place of the internet because we do have 4 great moderators who like to keep it a bully-free zone. You got a question, ask, and people are more than willing to answer. I do astrology, but there's crystals, tarot, various styles of oracle decks and oracle cards that people talk about. Dream interpretation, numerology has come up recently, mediumship, all sorts of spiritual practices and faiths. Ask a question, somebody will share what they know. Yeah. And I do offer readings on my Freedom Through Astrology site. So I do offer a quick 6. So if you do want to see how your chart changes and you just want a small sample, I cover 6 key points in your chart. If you want to know how your birth chart is in evolutionary astrology, your birth chart's your birth contract. It's not who you are, it's who you came here to become. And I help you to understand that. So it's like Stephen Covey says, begin with the end in mind. I help you to understand this is the goal you're working towards. This is the person you came here to become. I also do karmic or past life readings. Karma, bad situation happened in the past. It repeats as an archetype in this lifetime. And ideally, what you're learning is what that archetype is, how it was created, and how you can heal it in this lifetime. If you believe in one and done, this is a special lesson. And I do horoscopes. I do 1 year, which is the outer planets and the nodes of the moon in Chiron, 3 months, which is similar to that. And what 1 year is any 12 months in a row, any 3 months in a row. And I also do a monthly, which can be first of the month to the end, or new moon to new moon. People like that. And then I have packages, which happen at 4 different levels. So thank you very much for watching this. Like, follow, share. Do sign up for my newsletter. If you go to my website, you get a pop-up. I just need an email address. I don't even need your name. You get a once-a-week newsletter from me. If you close that out in the upper right-hand corner, you will see a subscribe button. Click on that. You get an email address. You're all good. So thank you very much. And remember, in the visible sky, your life changes. Have the best possible week.